Hey everybody, Ashley here. So I want to talk about the story that I read in Daniel 3, and it is Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. So I was super excited to read the complete story. It is definitely about faith and going through opposition and something that seems extremely hard, and you're forced to walk by faith. So, the story is about King Nebuchadnezzar, who built a gold statue, and he asked everybody to worship this statue. Well, there were three gentlemen who in the Bible are described as Jews who refused to worship this statue because they only worshiped Jesus Christ, our God. So word got back to the king, and when he found out that they refused to worship, he asked his soldiers to bring those three gentlemen to a furnace to be burned alive. So before placing them in the furnace, he asked the three gentlemen, is it true that you are refusing to worship this statue? And they said yes. So they asked, and then what God will be able to rescue you from my power? And what I thought was really cool is they said, he will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up. So when they said that, that was an extreme amount of faith that they can say, basically, if it is God's will to rescue us, then he will. And if it is not, they're trusting that God has something better for them, or he has a better plan. And so what happened was the king decided that he was going to turn up the heat 7 times hotter. And when he did this, the soldiers that placed the 3 men inside of the furnace actually died because it was so hot they couldn't stand it. And this is the coolest part. So the 3 gentlemen that were placed in the furnace were actually tied up. They were still fully dressed, and they were placed inside. And the king, he looked in the furnace and he said, "Didn't we tie up 3 men? I see a 4th man." And that was so cool. The 4th man was Jesus. It was God. And they were walking around unbound. They weren't tied up anymore. Unsinged. They weren't harmed. They were completely protected. And God was walking with them through the fire. How amazing is that, to have a faith that big, that where they said, in the face of the opposition, that they're going to walk anyway. And when the king saw this, he decided that he was going to worship God as well, because he saw how high and mighty Jesus Christ was. But I think in relation to a lot of the situations that we go through in life, maybe we're not being physically placed inside of a furnace, but there are times in our life where the temperatures rise and the opposition feels too big. The circumstance seems like it's going to just completely take us down, where we feel like if this happens, we're going to die. Like it feels like the pain that you are anticipating seems so heavy. You think, how could I go through something like that? But that's when your faith comes in and you remember that you're not walking alone, that there is a God, our God, Jesus Christ, who walks in the fire with you. He walks through the opposition with you, and he protects you. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be afraid, but it definitely means that even if you're afraid, you have a God that is bigger and mightier even than death. He's conquered death. So this is just a really good reminder for anyone who is going through a situation where you feel like you have no idea how the temperature got hotter. You can't believe that the temperature is increasing like this, but remember that when you're placed in the fire, you're also refined. You are growing in faith, right? Just like those 3 gentlemen did. They walked in the fire and they trusted God with their life. And if you can do that, I promise that you can walk through that opposition. If it is God's will to protect you and bring you through it, He will. And if He doesn't, He has a better plan. I hope you enjoyed the story. It really, really made my day. And it was just so cool how God is completely glorified in every situation that seems like it's bigger than us. He shows up right on time. Not our time, because I'm sure they would have preferred not to go in the furnace. But He shows up right on time to show that we were never in control. He was always in control, and He was always there for us, and He's always going to be there for us and with us through every fire that we go through.